Hello, everybody. Sorry, we're a little bit late. We've all been running from pillar to post, so lockdown hasn't stopped us. We thank you for joining us today for this talk. We are discussing today what makes something holistic. We've all heard the term holistic used in lots of different ways for lots of different things, but what really makes a treatment, a service, an item, something that we're involving in our lives and in our lifestyles holistic, and what makes our lifestyle holistic? How can we make our lives more holistic for the better of our well-being? So today I am joined by, I'll bring them in one at a time. I've got Matt Fennemore, TruthPie practitioner, who is a clinical massage therapist at TruthPie, and I have Sandra Preciado, who I'm going to have pronounced it wrong. She might have to come and correct me now, who is also a practitioner with us. We've just discussed that she is a yoga instructor, but she's a guide for yoga, a yoga guide, if you will. So I'll bring in Matt first of all.
Hello.
Hi, Matt.
Hi.
And do you want to, in fact, I'll bring Sandra in and we can all be online while we do your intro. You can, hi, Sandra.
Hello.
Matt, do you want to start off and maybe, I know you've joined us on a panel recently, but for anyone who wasn't watching, maybe introduce yourself and what you do at TruthPie and outside of.
Yeah, sure. I, as you mentioned, I'm a clinical massage therapist. What does that mean? Yeah, clinical doesn't sound so sexy, but clinical just means work clinically, and so that can include sports, but also clinical massages where we work on different pathologies. So things that might have gone wrong with the muscles and the bones and the musculoskeletal system, but the clinical part is also working with systemic things like perhaps anxiety, or traumas, or insomnia, or migraines, or any of those kind of things, arthritis. So all those things are some things that have no known cause. They're called idiopathic. It means no known cause. So it's a mixture of all those things. So yeah, I never know what the day is going to hold. So all those things.
Always something new.
Yeah, and always something new. Absolutely. I mean, the other day I massaged somebody who had something. I had to look it up, and I had to go through my notes to find out how best I'm going to treat that person because they were in a lot of pain. So yeah, every day is different.
Awesome. And Sandra, what do you do at TruthPie? What's the essence of your yoga practice? What makes it special and unique?
Well, I stumbled upon yoga because I was a dancer since I was really, really young. So yeah, movement has always been my way in and my way out of everything. I find a lot of release in movement. So I first, when I started wanting to meditate, I was made to sit and be still, and I couldn't find that immediately in my body. And I realized that through yoga I could really meditate, I could really be present, and could really breathe deeply through moving, and it felt like a dance, but I didn't need to make a massive effort, just very, very organic. So I fell in love with yoga really when I was really young, and so I think my practice, I guess, like, there's so many reasons why it would be a different practice, but mostly because I really like to embrace this thing of like taking it really organically for you. And I'm always about breath. I'm like, the only difference between dancing and doing yoga is that in yoga you are going with the breath. Well, also in dance, but in dance you are thinking about a lot of other things. So yeah, that's in a nutshell what my practice is. And then obviously, all like Matt was saying, all the different styles that come from that as well.
Yeah, awesome. I remember practicing yoga, and just the teacher saying very kind of pivotal moment. Yeah, if you're not breathing, then it's not yoga, it's just stretching. So yeah, which is fine, but it's not yoga.
Which is okay, but I think yoga is an excuse to breathe. You know, it's like it is the way to, for me, is the way to connect with my breath. I'm like, at least 1 hour a day, I am breathing deeply. I know that for sure.
Yeah. It's that centering, the grounding, the it's not necessarily even about the movement as much as it is about the breath and the being present. Is that how it feels sometimes?
Yeah, I think in a way, and today we're speaking about holistic, and in a way, that's why I think yoga is the most holistic of exercise, because, you know, in terms of cardio, strengthening, flexibility, intensity, you can go as deep as you want with all of those things, but at the same time, it's always spiritual, or you can always make it spiritual. So then it is a real whole practice of, you know, the mind and the body and the spirit. It's really nice.
So you guys, today we're here really to sort of help people better understand what holistic really means. So you guys are great examples of it, and I know that you both sort of live in a very holistic way as well, just at home and in your day-to-day interactions. So maybe does anyone want to explain anything about sort of the, obviously holistic can be applied to well-being, but how can that be applied to your life as well? Is it, or is it just exclusive to well-being?
I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I think there in yoga, certainly there is the term which is kind of non-violence or doing no harm. So you can do that in your life, not to give yourself a hard time even before you come and have any therapy, just some things that are really good working on the emotions. So what I would say is, you know, we all can be quite good at beating ourselves up or not feeling that we're good enough. And I think if you are aware of that, and that's one thing I think, you know, yoga teaches you, it's not just what you do on the mat, it's what you do after that. And it's the same with any therapies, I think. So yeah, not to do more harm or kind of non-violence, I think is the way you can live holistically off the mat or off the massage table, if you like, you know. So the massage, you know, when the massage finishes, that isn't the kind of end of it. There's lots of other stuff that you can do to support that work. What do you do to support it, Sandra? Sort of once you get off your mat, what is it in your daily life that you think, you know, I'm going to make this day more whole, feel more rounded and grounded to continue your practice?
Yeah, that's it. I was thinking that when you asked the question, I'm thinking, when I think of the word holistic, I'm thinking of wholeness, you know, and I think the main thing is to feel whole during the day. And of course, we're full of so many things that can take us out of that space. So there's so many great techniques to put you into that space. And I think what the word yoga means, unity. And so again, like I think with the concept of wholeness or holistic and the word unity are very sort of interconnected. So in order to be holistic in life, I think you first need to feel connected with other people, connected with yourself, connected with nature. You can't be whole if you are disconnected, even from yourself or from others. So I think this is the main part. And I found I only very recently moved to London. And when I was sort of like finding this community, I found that I have never been, you know, without a community before until I moved to a new city. And this is such a big part of wholeness, you know, the wholeness of a person being with like-minded people, and all of these things. So I think the idea of connection, and the idea of completeness. And then, of course, we can go on and talk about diet, for example, which is incredible, breathing, sleeping well, and all the things that we all know are good for us, and all of these things. But I think if I were to say one thing that we need in order to be whole, it would be the connection.
Yeah, I would definitely underline that by saying, in massage, clinical massage certainly is about the mind-body connection. So that is the wholeness. So there's a phrase: the issues aren't always in the tissues. So it's not just the musculoskeletal stuff; it's everything that's happening. It's things that are happening with the mind. So, and we can disconnect. And like you say, Sandra, if we disconnect from something. So in terms of clinical massage, it's also the connections with our, the biology, the psychology, but also, as you say, our social environment, our connection with our friends and our family and our support network. So if they aren't there, then it can become difficult to deal with things.
Yeah. And did you find that, Sandra, when you were lacking that connection in your community, what did yoga bring that back to you? Did you feel like did you go out and join groups? What was the best path for you in terms of finding a holistic path there?
I think I was recently reading in a book that there are no substitutions for the areas in your life. So if you need connection with friends, or if you need connection with community, or if you need spiritual connection, you can't substitute. Not because you have great connection with your partner, you won't need a community, or these kinds of things. But how I think yoga helps in this situation, because yoga can't really bring a community, but it does help to see where it is that there's a lack, because you go in, you take a mind break. When for those who don't know yoga, after your physical practice, you take a relaxation at the end, which we call shavasana. And when you go into shavasana, you really just allow your mind to relax. You allow your body to absorb all the benefits from the movement you've just done. And these moments, I think, bring a lot of clarity to then allow that to sink in, to think, it's this. So the reason why I'm not feeling whole, or the reason why I'm disconnected, is because there's this bit of my life. And I think once we see that, once we're able to bring light into the thing that we're lacking, then we're already on a path to healing. And I would think, Matt, you probably agree with me in that, bringing awareness to the problem in massage as well is half of the work.
Yeah, it's totally about awareness. It is, yeah.
What do you guys do if someone comes to a class, to a massage, and they are saying, listen, I've got an injury, I'm just here to deal with that. So someone's told me to do yoga because I'm just here to deal with my injury, or I just want a sports massage. Matt, I know you're a clinical massage therapist. Like, that means you're clinical. It means you're not holistic. Like, I just need to, they're not expecting you to be relaxing and holistic in your approach as a clinical therapist. How does that feel? And what do you do? Can you tell that person what to do? But is there a way to guide them towards
I think you can plant seeds. You can plant seeds and just I think I've massaged people who have just come for a sports massage. Maybe they've been doing deadlifting and they hurt their neck, and they'll say something. One guy said to me, "Oh, that was almost holistic." I can just remember it.
Good job, Matt. Good to go.
Yeah, great. But I think you read people. It's about what people don't say generally as well. So, you do a lot of body reading when people come in. So you'll know there needs to be a therapeutic alliance, and people need to trust you. So you know how far you can go with people. Some people, you might see them a few times, they're quite closed, and then suddenly they'll tell you everything. You'll know everything about them once you've seen them a few times. Other people, yeah, they may just want to come and they want something fixed and it's clinical. But, you know, for the therapist, you react to what that person needs. If that person needs that kind of clinical thing, but you can also plant seeds whilst you're doing that, I think. And it's up to people to, you know, the awareness might be, you know, in the wheel of change, the awareness might be that moment. It might be 2 weeks down the line. It might be a month down the line. Oh yeah, I remember that bloke, Matt. Yeah, and he mentioned, yeah, maybe that's it. Okay, or whatever. You know, we're all the same. You know, when something needs to change, it doesn't always happen immediately. There's always kind of seeds of change being sown first. You know, I think.
And forgive me if it's a similar but not the same question.
Mm-hmm.
What could someone expect to experience if they then say, you know what, I'm listening to you. You're talking to me about this mind-body connection.
Yeah.
What benefits can they expect if they were to approach something, an injury, for example, you know, a physical injury, that's all they know about, they've hurt their knee or whatever. What can they see happening over time for you?
Well, one thing, like certainly like with a knee, if somebody gets a knee injury, there's many muscles that can be attached to the knee. So it could be the glute medius, it could be the IT band. So that's clinical, that's technical. Also, injuries to the knee could mean that person is emotionally stuck, because knees propel us forward. So there's a mind-body connection going on there that we may not even be aware of. So you could have, again, no known cause. It may be a technical thing. You may work on all those muscles. There's nothing wrong there. Maybe a bit of stretching will help. But there is, you know, there's so much that the body is telling us if we allow it. So I would say, what would I say? I would say, certainly with the body, it's always going to tell you, you know, when something's up. So we can disconnect, we can cut off, and as you say with yoga, then you're breathing well, you're more in union with your body. You'll notice little shifts. You'll maybe do the same poses each day or each session if you do similar yoga, and you'll notice little shifts in the body and the patterns and the posture and stuff like that. But certainly with massage, it's so connected, you know, and our brain is very good at trying to overrule the body.
Yeah. So you think as well, you think if they were coming to see you, would they, I mean, and Sandra, feel free to jump in as well with where you would be going with the same sort of thing, you know, if someone's come to you with injuries and they're coming for class, what, as they're going through sessions with you, they're coming back to you, they're trusting you, they've found a therapeutic alliance with you, and they're saying, right, yeah, I trust you to support me ongoing. How quickly do you think do you think I'll see a result? Do you is there a one path for everybody that you follow? Is it I'm sure you guys
well, everybody
quite similar in the process. I mean, I know lots of people watching might know the answer to that, but some people may not, and it's helpful for them to hear that, I think, from you guys.
You could have two people with the same pathology, but they repair in completely different ways and at completely different times, you know, I guess, you know. Sorry, interrupted you there, Sandra.
No, I was going to say, I think going back a little bit to what you were saying about like a person coming with one thing, it's everything, like Matt was saying, everything is connected, and if you work one thing, you will see results in the other thing, you know. Of course, the answer to what you were saying, Joanna, is no. You know, you don't take a one path for everybody, you know. I have had students, a lot of my yoga students. So something really strange happened during lockdown, because when I started my online yoga studio, I got, let's say, 90% people who had never tried yoga before. So that was a very interesting journey that I took with these people who were trying it out and seeing what that was about, and to see exactly the things that needed to work for them or in their bodies. And something very, very interesting I noticed is that my main goal with some people is that they would allow themselves to disconnect or to relax at the end. So the class was fine. They had all right flexibility. Their strength was good. Their stamina was good through the class. But at the time of relaxing, they wouldn't. They wouldn't close their eyes, or they would be fidgeting. And that's a big flag to me. And nobody's going to come and say, I can't relax. But I can see that. And so again, if they come and say, I hurt my knee, but then I can see that they are not able to disconnect at the end of the class, then my main thing is, of course, I'm aware of the things they can't do because of the knee. But I'm thinking, when I see results in the relaxation, I'm most likely to see results in that knee,
Oh, okay. So really, do you then talk to them about that through the class? And how do you deal with it in a class situation where there's lots of people with lots of different things, and you might, feel like you need to speak one way for one person to relax, and a different, might need to be a slightly different pace for somebody else? How is that managed? So if someone wanted to join one of your classes, can it truly be tailored to their need?
Yeah, absolutely. As I was saying to you before we started, I like to say I am more of a guide than a teacher, because teachers really tell you exactly what to do and how to do it and all of that. And I feel like a yoga practice is a little bit less strict than that. So it is, I'm going to show you how it's done, how you can do this without hurting yourself, and what the benefits of what we're doing are. And you can follow it on your own pace, just making sure you're breathing. And so usually when you are with a group, like I have been through lockdown with a group of people for a while, then you acquire a group pace. And people who come into the class, they're always sort of like blending into this space. But the class is always tailored to every single person individually. And I feel free to say to somebody specifically, let's move the hips this way, or let's take a bigger breath here, or why don't you take a break here? But I also sometimes I see something that somebody's doing that everybody benefits from. So I'll say, just remember to really, keep your hands awake while you're doing this exercise, or keep your belly engaged while you're doing this. And so I think this sort of like group synergy or group energy comes up during yoga, which is one of the most beautiful things of doing yoga, is that most of the time what one person needs, everybody sort of benefits from in a way.
And there's sort of sorry, Matt, did you want to jump in there?
No, I'm just agreeing with everything. Yeah.
Now
I've lost my train of thought, haven't I? Oh no, I know what I was saying. So with you guys, you both obviously offer holistic practices yourself, so holistic yoga, holistic massage. If you guys are so whole in your practice, does that mean you can solve everything for everybody? Does it mean there are differences between what you guys do? Because if you're both able to be whole in everything, then shouldn't you be able to solve everything? Is that sometimes the opinion people have of holistic?
I think we just complement, I think, and people need different things at different times as well, so I think the puzzle is always changing. It can change from week to week or month to month. So I can't solve everything, but I can have a bloody good go. And I'm quite honest with people.
Matt, you won't let me lie, but I've been trying to get a massage with Matt for I'd say several weeks now, and this whole chat is making me all the more excited. And of course, no, yoga and massage, they absolutely complement each other, and also are small parts of bigger other techniques. I think also, the meditation technique called the Vipassana, which is the silent meditation, sitting down in silence for 1 minute or 10 or an hour or a week, is also very, very beneficial. And so it is about what you need. I think massages are a big part of my well-being. Sometimes I'm like, oh really, like, do I need to be spending money on a massage? But it is, I think it's essential to my feeling well, and I get a lot of release from a massage. So absolutely, as a yoga person, I need other things to help me feel whole and well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as much as I need my yoga, and I would say certainly, speaking with Joanna just before, the similarities like with yoga and massage is that, when we give a massage, there's a kind of arc, like there's an arc to a yoga class, I'd imagine. You get people to ground at the beginning, you work on the breath, you have the main event, then you have the relaxation at the end, and as a massage therapist, we have to ground. We can't be, our head can't be in the clouds when we're working on people. It's really important when we're dealing with, emotions, or, we're dealing with pain, as we are quite often. So, we need to be whole, and we need to be mentally strong in ourselves, for the job that we do. And I think maybe people don't realize that, like people think that, when actors have long monologues to learn, they don't realize it's actually written by somebody. It's like they think that you just come out with this, all these words, but there's a writer, there's some, there are mechanisms behind that. And one thing I will say, I can't believe we've got this far without actually talking about fascia, but there you go. Probably.
This is Matt's number one word that comes out. I think, by the way, you should probably explain to everyone what fascia is, because not everybody is aware.
Okay.
Let's break that down before we go into the whole.
Well, all I'll say is you're more of a Spider-Man or woman or person than you are a robot. So, we learn anatomy and physiology as like kind of separate parts, but really fascia is just connective tissue that covers the tendons, the joints, the ligaments, the muscle, even blood is fascia. And in yoga, you work on the fascia, you work on releasing things, tension and fascial adhesions and the connective tissue. So that's a no-brainer as a similarity,
And there are some sort of techniques that specifically work on fascia and fascial release, isn't there? So practitioners you'll see will have that on their profiles sometimes, about the fact that they do myofascial release. But there are other techniques as well, Bowen therapy, different things like that for fascia. So you offer myofascial release, don't you? What do people expect when you're actually doing that technique? How does that differ from a regular massage?
It's very targeted for a start. So you'll work, certainly people may have heard of something called Rolfing, which is Ida Rolf, who is from the 30s in Germany. So it's Rolfing, which means that you work on, it's myofascial release, but you balance out the torso, the hips, hips and pelvis, and also the legs. So you have two types of myofascial release. You have one which is direct. Direct is just another word for quite strong. So you're using fists and you're using elbows and you're really getting into the belly of the muscle, and it can be quite painful. Mm-hmm. Myofascial release, which is indirect myofascial release, is much more gentle. So you're basically, nothing much happens. No, I would never really do this unless I'd spoken to somebody about it, because you are just holding people and you're waiting in the same way as you might do with yin yoga or a restorative yoga practice. You're waiting for the tissues to melt. So what you do is you have your hand on people, so it might be on the belly, it might be on the shoulder, but you're waiting for the fascia to unwind, and then you you really do feel like, I'm not going to do an impression, but it's a bit like, blah, blah, blah.
He's going to go for it anyway.
Yeah, I will do it.
Matt comes from an acting background. You can...
So yeah, the fascia unwinds, and you can actually feel it with people. So it's a, I mentioned it before. There's a book called "The Body Keeps the Score." So we have, the body stores trauma. So that can be trauma with a small t. It could be an injury or an accident, but it could be things that, we've been born with. It could be a trauma in birth. So fascia is where you really are feeling the body and feeling how things are moving. It's quite gentle, but you also have to, it's called green lighting people, make sure that if they get over emotional, that, they can count the amount of lights in the room, they can count the amount of towels or whatever it might be, because it can be quite emotional. So one is, I guess you'd see it's very sporty, if you like, or what people would expect, but you can't do that when somebody's about to run a race, because it actually changes the posture of the body. So you wouldn't do that before somebody's running a marathon, because they will injure themselves, because you've actually, something is slightly altered in the body, because you're balancing out the hips and torso and pelvis. So yeah, one is very lovely, and one's quite harsh. John Scott will.
So that was more, and that's something maybe you'd almost want to do after having done some extreme race or whatever it may be, because then you're repairing before a person starts training again. Or
absolutely, yeah, before you do some usual sports techniques like soft tissue release or something like that, but you really do get your knuckles like into the belly of the muscle, and it can be quite sore. So you want to make sure that people can rest for a few days after that. So if somebody, where the fascia gets tight, so say you feel like one leg is a bit longer than the other, that will be due to the fascial restriction. So with the hip and things, or the fascia or the connective tissue will get a little bit stuck. So suddenly you'll feel like maybe one leg is shorter than the other, and you're limping a bit. So that's called a leg length discrepancy. But it doesn't mean that one leg is longer or shorter than the other. It just means the fascia is getting stuck, and it's not, it's not allowing you to move, and things that need to calibrate and do their job aren't doing them well, if that makes sense. So yeah.
I have a technical question with regards to fascia.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any way that my severe tickles can be eased by therapy?
That's really hard. I've had a few ticklish people this week, actually, when I've tried to, they've had issues with their lower back, because the fascia of the feet is linked to the lower back. So you can kind of press hard on the pad of the feet, and you can release the fascia, the connective tissue in the lower back. But I don't know the answer to that. Tickles, yeah. I mean, you can use.
That's where your meditation needs to come in.
Yeah, you can use fists.
Go to that place.
Yeah. I've had a few people recently, actually, who are quite ticklish. And I used to answer that question when I first started training, so that I didn't get a foot in my face. And I haven't had ticklish people, so I've not answered that question. But they're on the radar again. It's lockdown. Something happening.
So it's a little bit of a falsity that massage has to be painful or hard for it to be effective as well.
There's a place for that. It's not me. It's not how I trained. This idea of non-violence, really, it's about being specific for me. It's about releasing things. It doesn't mean to say you can't do the fascial stuff that's quite painful. It needs to be, there's a good pain. So it needs to feel that there is some release there as well. So anything over an 8 out of 10 on someone's pain threshold isn't massage, it isn't therapy, that's torture. And that's £5 extra.
Wow.
It's funny.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, disclaimer. Yeah.
I love that you mentioned. Sorry, no, I love that you mentioned good pain, because I think that's how I call it too. Yoga is the same. Yoga doesn't have to hurt at all. and you have what I call the good pain, which is the muscle, developing and breaking and coming to be. So the muscle, in order to sort of become stronger, it sort of like breaks a little and then it becomes stronger. So yeah, good pain is the muscle that is working, but it never has to be actual hurting, it has to be a good work.
But Sandra, like,
feel whole while it's happening rather than just concentrating on that pain.
Yeah. But Sandra, would you agree with me? When people do yoga, like it's about force, isn't it? Like people forcing themselves into shape. So, so again, they need to be mindful of what they're doing with their bodies. So if I do a downward dog or I do a tree or whatever, if I'm forcing something because I want an end result, yoga is about the journey.
Yeah,
it's about not
that's
getting.
Another thing.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say that's another thing I do in class that's very important to me. Is I always say we're not pushing or pulling. We are allowing, we are releasing. So anytime, for example, if you take any forward bend, for example, and any forward bend has some sort of release of the hips area. So if you're sitting down and you're just bending forward, there's people who won't go very far. They're just sitting down and they'll go an inch forward, and that's as far as they go. And so they start, trying to hold the floor, trying to hold the feet and like pull. And that's the complete opposite of what we want to do. So instead, we're sitting here, we take a deep breath, and with every exhale, we just release. And so it's just, yeah, it's the idea of release, finding space, finding anything, rather than pulling or making an effort. And I think that helps as well not to hurt yourself, because of course you have to be in a strong posture for a little while. That's going to be your muscles working. But when you are stretching, especially, you always don't want to make an effort. You just want to allow the space.
And Sandra actually runs a specific yoga stretch class at TruthPie, which will show everybody a little bit more in detail. So if you are interested in that, it's only £5 to join a class, isn't it, with you? So but that might be interesting to do a new type of stretching, especially we have lots of we're quite well known for having lots of dancers and performers visit us, because we treat most of the West End, I would say, by now. And I think that we are taught as dancers, actors coming from that sort of background, that stretching hard and, really like holding your leg up against a door or pushing against the wall, that was the right way to stretch. And that's, lots of us did that from very small. I mean, the industry is changing and people are learning that there are better ways to do that. But that might be something, I guess, interesting for any dancers watching to check out, and just to see if that can be a new way for you to open your body, align your body. Excuse me.
That's the thing, Joanna, is that it's always changing. Research is always changing. Stretching. When I was training, stretching is strengthening and strengthening is stretching. So there's no one way, and there'll be millions of papers. There'll be lots of research about different ways of doing stretching. But at the end of the day, if you're mindful and holistic and not injuring yourself, that's the important thing, and you're getting the results you need. But the science changes all the time.
And what would you guys? Thanks for that, Matt. Sorry, I can cut you out. I was like, oh yeah, really good point. Sorry,
yeah. It was a light bulb moment for me, Oh right, so yeah, my German professor.
I was thinking while you were saying that, what is the, because you mentioned that being holistic again, and I was thinking, what we've sort of talked about what holistic is, how we help you achieve that. Do you guys have simple ways, like in a simple example of just one step that someone could start taking every day that may, you know, at the moment people don't have huge budgets? Is there anything anyone can just do for free for themselves at home to just say, you know what, this is my first step towards being having a more holistic lifestyle?
Yes, I just recently came up with this idea as well, because I was trying to think of, some people are scared of committing to doing a yoga class, even if it's for free. You know, it's like it's an hour out of your day, and you have to plan for it, and you might, you know, whatever 1,000 reasons our bodies make sometimes not to stay in a place of comfort. So I was coming up with this and realized that taking 5 minutes to breathe, to disconnect from our devices and just breathe, is so beneficial. So I've started, as of yesterday, I've started running a 5-minute breathing break on social media. And all that is just, and this is me just like reminding you. You don't need me to remind you, but if you want, you can join me in these 5-minute meditations.
I'll put links for Sandra's Instagram below, so follow her on Instagram if you want to join her live, by the way.
Yeah. And so the idea of these 5 minutes is that it doesn't matter what you're doing, where you are, if you're at work or on a bus or wherever you are, you can just close your eyes and take 5 minutes and start going deep with your breath. And what happens when you do that, first you start becoming conscious of your breath, so you let go of any sort of train of thought, recurring thoughts that we're having. We tend to have the same, the 80% of our thoughts are the same thoughts that we always have. So we take 5 minutes, we close our eyes, we start breathing, and as soon as we pay attention to our breath, we are out of the mind. Another nice thing to do while you're taking this little break is just to be aware of your body and ask yourself, is there anywhere where I feel tension? And if you do, then you can just exhale and release, mentally release that tension. And maybe it's not going to completely go away, but there's a part of your body that's going to relax. And so this really takes no big commitment. It's just 5 minutes of your day. You can do it as often as you want. And you can make it
once an hour.
Yeah.
An hour, just having my 5 minutes. That would be lovely.
Exactly. It would be so ideal, because ideally we would, you know, be thinking and not multitasking and breathing deeply throughout the whole day. But because we're not, we just want to actually take that space and I think these 5-minute breaks that I've been taking have been helping me to remember to breathe while I'm on the computer working, or even, you know, doing other type of stronger exercise. I remember to still breathe deeply through my nose, which, you know, it creates a habit.
Good. Yeah. And Matt, what would you like to add as your top tip?
A similar in a way, but yeah, 3-screen technology. It's just the computer, the phone, TV. Just turn it off like an hour before you sleep is a good thing, I think. And also, to, if you can, put your phone in the other room. You know, don't sleep with your phone by your bed, and things like that. So that's what I would say. I think, yeah, definitely just note how you're breathing. Just from moment to moment is a really, really good thing.
Amazing. I've just shared your tips with everybody on below so that they can remind themselves of those as well.
I think another thing as well, well, it's not to feel overwhelmed by things. So I read a book before lockdown. I was luckily in India, which is fantastic, and I read a book called Atomic Habits. I don't know if any. It's a coaching book. It's very good, but it's about breaking down the things that you want to do in bite-sized pieces, basically, so that you can. So it's much better to do something for a few seconds a day, like you're saying, or you know, if it's meditation, you've got to think about the person that you'd like to become. So obviously, I'd imagine that the person that you'd like to become is somebody who's holistic, possibly. So it's about taking those things slowly. So don't think about the whole picture, because we're always going to disappoint ourselves. But so it might be 5 minutes meditation tomorrow. It might be 7 the next day. It might be 8. We might add it by 1 minute a day, or whatever it might be, you know. So in terms of
at the moment, there's lots of, or I have seen during this time, lots of things talking about doing like bulk scheduling, or like block scheduling. That's what it's called. So like bulk scheduling, block scheduling. So like saying, right, I'm going to do all of that on one day and all of that on the next day. And I feel like there is a place for that, because it sort of goes, you know what, that's when I'm doing that. I can concentrate on it. I'm not going to get distracted all the while. But I guess what you're saying by breaking it down means people don't get overwhelmed by this huge task that they have.
Yeah, they don't get bored by it as well, you know.
Or bored, yeah.
Bored, yeah. So yeah, it's a really cool book. I check it out. There's some exercises you can do. It's not a book I'd normally read, but I saw it in a guy selling it on the street, you know, on a blanket in
the title of it? Then I'm going to put it down.
Atomic Habits. Yeah, it's James somebody.
Atomic, AT.
Atomic, yeah, Atomic Habits. So it's the idea that, you know, obviously everything starts from an atom, and yes.
Yeah, that, and I guess naturally that just makes for a more holistic day anyway, because you've split up all the different bites of different things you wanted to do, and actually probably creates, you know, more, gives you more creativity, gives you a little bit more spur, you know.
Yeah,
like you're
I suppose it's a bit like the hare and the tortoise, you know. You know,
a little bit and you'll get there. Yeah. Good point.
I'm more hare, obviously, you know, but I'd like to be more tortoise.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I think you take your time over decisions where you need to. I think we've got very rounded practitioners at TruthPie. Always. We never lose our cool, do we?
Never.
Well, it was lovely to speak to you both today. I think that you have massively answered the question, what is holistic, and more, what is fascia as well. We've gone on to a whole extra, you know, too. I'm sure you also have loads more to add, but we've only got a certain amount of time, and we will definitely come back to conversations with Matt and Sandra in the future. So thank you for joining.
Yeah, we have to meet in person now, because we've been chatting.
No, they've never met in person. I have this, we are a collective. We all often work in the same building. Not everyone has always met, mainly due to this COVID situation, really.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes.
We will soon.
Guys, if you want to say something there, sorry.
Oh, I just wanted to add, if anybody watching this has any questions at all, please reach out to either of us. We love chatting about our craft. And so yeah, on socials or through TruthPie, just reach out to us, and we can continue talking. If our practice is not the best for you, then we might be able to point you towards somebody who might have a practice that's the best for you.
Yeah, it's so you can get both of these guys. I've popped their Instagram handles on wherever you're watching this, YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook. It will be in the comments below. They're already down there for you, so you can follow them on Instagram. If you do have any specific questions you want to email over, you can always email me. I'm happy to pass those on. If you want to jump into a session straight away and try them out, obviously you can find those on our website at truthpie.net. But yeah, thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
For one sec, to just say bye-bye and tell them about some exciting stuff that's coming up, but I'll let you guys go for today till I pester you again.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye.
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 Thank you so much to everybody who's joined us for that. Wasn't that an amazing chat from these guys? They are absolutely top top therapists in London, and really so passionate about their craft. We're really lucky to have them at TruthPie. So just to let you know, coming up tomorrow, we have another live stream. We've got a stream with Eric Jumper Anderson and with Jamie Body. You have met Eric. You have met Eric before in our previous panel discussion, What is Wellness? And tomorrow he's discussing resilience and how to be more resilient with you, alongside Jamie. So Eric is a Tibetan medicine practitioner and Jamie is an NLP and career coach. So quite different sort of practices there for you to be able to discuss through with those and hear their take on resilience and how they can help guide you through, specifically through this cold, challenging, shall I say, winter and year. So do join us at 3 p.m. We will be on YouTube, Twitch and Facebook on our Time for Truth Pie group. If you haven't joined it, please do join it. There's loads of lovely offerings on there to support you through lockdown. We've also got, and I keep forgetting to mention, but we've got a really exciting announcement coming up next Friday. So stay tuned to TruthPie on all of our social channels. It'll be everywhere, let's face it. And I will be announcing something very exciting. All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye. Have a great day.